David, what is the prospect for a deal here, and how important would it be for manufacturers on either side of the Atlantic?
Well, if they really do come to a deal and they break this gridlock, first off, it helps out the European car makers the most. There are 640,000 cars roughly annually imported here. We're talking about Mercedes, BMW, Audi. It's big for them. It's big for Volvo. It's also big for Fiat Chrysler, which still has a lot of employees here. They bring in the Jeep Renegade, which is basically an Italian Jeep. So if they were to come to a deal that reduces tariffs for them, which are already fairly low, but that's kind of what they're talking about, that would help them quite a bit. Tariffs going the other way, the U.S. doesn't sell a lot of American-made cars in Europe, but the tariff has been 10%, and maybe down the line they would seek to raise that a bit. General Motors walked away from the market by selling Opel last year, and they do sell some Cadillacs, they do sell some Corvettes, but maybe they could make a bigger push if they could just make the cars here, not have to invest in capital anymore, and send the vehicles over there.
David, just how tense is it for US autos at the moment in the United States when they have spent years and years and years thinking very carefully about their manufacturing base and where to place it, and they have the potential of NAFTA being completely redrawn. They have a situation with China and tariffs getting switched here, there and everywhere with Europe, the United States and China. What are they doing and how are they thinking about the future?
So NAFTA is the big pressure point for the U.S. automakers especially, but really for all the automakers. A lot of vehicles come from Mexico to the United States. GM is a huge importer of Mexican-made vehicles. So if there is a deal with the European Union, that sort of allows the Trump administration to turn its eyes to NAFTA and maybe cut a separate deal there rather than this threat of 20 or 25% tariffs on imports from anywhere. So maybe they get a deal in Europe and then they do something with NAFTA, but it still has tariffs that are low enough for companies like General Motors and Ford to bring their vehicles up here. Fiat Chrysler does as well. These are very important vehicles. I think what are the car companies doing? They're sort of holding their breath right now because to move a factory, take General Motors' full-size pickup factory in Silao, Mexico, you're talking billions of dollars and several years to get the plant, all the suppliers, and that whole supply chain somewhere in the United States. It's a big investment. It's a lot of time. It's something they just don't want to do if they can come to an agreement and the administration comes to an agreement that has tariffs they can live with.